Yes, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Thank you very much for watching, and do please like and subscribe. Like, you see, it's just a click button, it's down there. And there's also a link to my book. And don't forget, on the 2nd of July, Tuesday, the 2nd of July at 7 p.m. here on Tales from the Jails, we're going to have a live broadcast for an hour from 7 p.m. so you can ask questions, prepare some questions, and do please send me the comments down below. I like them. I'm going to talk today about a thing called the Certification Office. Yeah, there's a letter heading from the Certification Office. You can see my name's on there. And that was from 1980, when I made a formal application to have the Certificate of Independence of the Prison Officers Association removed, because they are not an independent trade union. To operate as an independent trade union, you have to have a Certificate of Independence. And it was my contention in 1980, and it still is so today, that the Prison Officers Association is not an independent trade union. It's an association, a staff association. And the ranks represented by the POA, or not represented by the POA as the case may be, when I was there, ranged from the newest recruit right through to the number one chief officer. And there's no doubt about it, chief officers, especially the number one chief officer, was a member of the management. And therefore, because chief officers were holding positions within the Prison Officers Association, that removed the ability of said association to represent junior staff, because the management were making decisions and enforcing them not only through the discipline code, but by the fact that they were the only source of representation that any junior officer had. And it was absolutely pointless going to the Prison Officers Association and said, I disagree with this particular practice within the prisons, because the people that you were complaining to were not only trade union officials, they were also members of the management. And the members of the management have got a basic duty to maintain the status quo. So if you were complaining, I complained about compulsory overtime, and they said, well, that's the agreement at Strangeways. We have agreed with the governor that all staff will be subject to compulsory overtime. Now, it can't be in anybody's interest other than the management to have compulsory overtime. It meant that you were effectively required to attend for duty 24/7, 365 days of the year. They could call you in at any time. And it was really the practice that every other weekend, when you were supposed to have the weekend off, you were called in. Not for both days, but for either the Saturday or the Sunday. So you were working 13 days a fortnight, 13 days out of 14. You could also be given extra evening shifts. That would be extending your shift from 5:30 to 9 p.m. at night. Now, it's not in my interests as a prison officer to actually allow myself to do that. I mean, I was at the time attempting to study at Manchester University and St John's College in Manchester. I was trying to get myself a degree and get myself away from the damn system. But because I was called in for duties all the time, I was working 60 hours a week. 60 hours a week. Anyway, I had friends who were solicitors, and they sat down with me and examined the constitution of the Prison Officers Association examined the legislation pertaining to the Certificate of Independence, and between us we drafted up a 5-page report, which I've got here, and sent that off to the certification office in London, requesting that they remove the Certificate of Independence of the Prison Officers Association. That would have terminated their ability to operate as a trade union, which they weren't in the first place. You see, Prison Officers Association, no regional offices at all. All the paperwork, the telephone bills, all met by the government, all paid for by the establishment. That is not an independent trade union. They were totally reliant upon the goodwill of the governor to hold meetings, because they held all the meetings on Home Office premises. That is not an independent trade union. They were not, in my opinion, fit to represent the junior staff. And indeed, as I said, I was a relatively junior member of staff at one point, and made complaints about the convoy. Oh no, that's the way it works here. We've agreed. The POA has agreed. So what do? I never saw, in all my time, anybody who was injured on duty pursue a case against the government or against the Home Office for neglect. But people were being injured because the places were understaffed, the prisons were overcrowded. In actual fact, the government have done no risk assessment. Even today, the Prison Officers Association are representing female staff, 18 years of age, females on the landings, no thoughts about their safety, just give them a big hat, a set of keys, and off you go. No risk assessment whatsoever. One woman was apparently kicked around the landings, and they will do. I mean, some of these inmates are extremely violent, and they have no compunction as to whether they're punching a woman or punching you or punching me. I saw one member of staff, he had his nose badly smashed. It's in my part 3 of my book, by an inmate who was seriously psychologically disturbed, and eventually transferred to Broadmoor Prison for the criminally insane, mental institution for those who are beyond redemption. And he'd smashed all his nose completely, this guy did, and they couldn't prosecute him because he was being certified insane and transferred to Broadmoor. But he didn't get any compensation. He didn't get any representation from the Prison Officers Association. Nothing. In fact, after Brian Baldwin, who was the chairman of the Prison Officers Association at Strangeways, and also the leader of the Northwest chapter of the National Front, who associated with people like David Duke, the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, seriously. He had him staying at his house. He was banned from Britain by the Home Office, but he was actually staying in Home Office premises, which were lived in by Brian Baldwin. I mean, come on, what chance have you got? And he was organising marches through Manchester for the National Front. Wanted me to join in. I went along, not to assist the National Front, but to report on them to a man called Eric Heffer, who was the deputy leader of the Labour Party at the time. He'd contacted me and asked me to write a report on National Front activities in the prisons, which I did. But the only way to do it was to infiltrate them, which I did. I sent my report not only to Eric Heffer, but to the Jewish Gazette. Yeah. Well, you can see, I mean, this application to the certification office, as I'll show you again, yeah? can see that it really is there. You can see that, yeah. It was denied. Obviously, somebody at the top had reached down and said, we can't have the POA removed from a trade union because the government, the Home Office, were using the POA to control the staff. It was an absolutely ridiculous idea, and it still pertains to this day. Right, it's that time of day, folks. Don't forget, 2nd of July, Tuesday. That's the song dinger. Larry's getting his goats out now, aren't you, Larry? Hey, ooh, yeah. I'm going to sing to you now. See you hang around, and if you really do enjoy this, I'll see you tomorrow on the sick parade. You can have an arse full of largactyl. How about that? This is an early Elvis Presley song from about 1956, 55. I forgot to remember to forget. And it's quite likely that I will forget the words. Anyway, here we go. I forgot to remember to forget you. I can't seem to get you off my mind. The day you went away. Anyway, I've forgotten the bloody words, haven't I? I bet you're happy about that. Anyway, Tales from the Jails, folks.